Hello everyone, Dan14 Prime here. Want to do a video share out today with you guys on the Takara MP-44 Optimus Prime KO. This is a long anticipated knockoff, a very complex figure to replicate, but they finally did it. They did a pretty good job. It has its pros, it has its cons, and we'll get into that. If you're looking to pick this figure up, my advice for any KO is just jump out to eBay and find the best price. Link it down in description below. I've got links to eBay, Amazon, as well as Sideshow if you like higher end collectibles. As always, any shopping of those links just supports the channel at no cost to you, and I do very much appreciate that. Now what you see here laying around at not Optimus Prime's feet is everything this KO comes with, which is essentially all the key bop mode accessories. You don't get the trailer, roller, the repair bay, the minifigs, the gas pump, etc. But you do get everything else there, which is quite a bit. So pretty good value for the price of this KO, which might run you like 120 bucks, give or take 10 to 20 bucks. Now before we get into this, if you're new to the channel, you like Transformers, you like high-end collectibles, like Masterpiece Transformers, Hot Toys, and statues, please subscribe. I've always got new stuff coming into the Primepire, and always happy to share that out. And as always for everyone, any comment or like you leave helps the video and channel out very much as well. So thanks very much for that. So let's just jump right into this. This is mainly going to be a comparison video. If you want to know more about the original figure, check out all the videos I did way back at his release back on the channel. Now before we get into this, it's worth noting that this KO figure here on the left, he basically comes with this. This is his packaging. He comes in a tray that holds those accessories, and that was just stuffed into a brown shipper box and somehow made its way to my door without being totally destroyed. There is no packaging, there is no instructions, there is nothing. It is as basic and stripped down as you could be. And that's probably because they didn't KO the trailer and all of the parts, so they couldn't really KO the packaging either like they typically do. Now, here we have the KO, here we have the original. Two simple observations right off the bat. The sculpt of the KO is basically dead on to the original in almost every regard. So in terms of the shape and the form of the movement of the pieces, they nailed that to a T. What they didn't do is paint anything like this beautiful MP-44, these dark, rich reds and blues, high gloss finish. The KO is all molded, colored plastic. There's virtually no paint to speak of the figure. Yes, there is some. You have some little detailing here, you know, the trailer lights. There's probably a little bit. For the large part, none of the major surfaces are painted. And if we want to jump through some of the gritty details on the comparison, aside from nothing being painted here, that includes the eyes not being painted. It also includes, of course, no Autobot logo on the left shoulder. There is a raised surface. That is a panel that can pop off. I thought he was supposed to come with a panel that you can pop in to provide an Autobot logo. I did not get one. Not that it in any way matters, but the hardware for the screw in the top of the backpack is a little bit different. This is a strange one, but I do notice it. It's on the chrome. The original has like the indented hole, you know, the venting of the pipes all the way 360 kind of around. On the KO, it's kind of just like the front and the back, and the pure side is all flush chrome. And then around back, you will notice blue versus white there. I think the KO went with diecast here. There is, as it claims, more diecast in this figure. It's not a ton, it's like a little bit. The original 15.5 ounces, the KO 17.5 ounces, so it weighs 2 ounces more, and I think it's just a little bit of parts diecast maybe right there that they're using to add that little bit of extra weight. So really those are the bulk of the aesthetic differences, if you will. Some of them not even aesthetic, just noticeable differences that you'll see looking at the figure comparatively on all sides. And you know, that means the KO did a very nice job. The sculpt looks exactly like the original, and there's minor differences where you can tell it's the KO, aside from obviously the paint being the big difference. I did have one thought in that because this has color in the molded plastic all the way through, if you just blasted this with a glossy clear coat, you might get something that looks a lot more like the original high gloss Takara finish. Yes, you'd want to tape some things off like the chrome and stuff, but you wouldn't need to be really accurate because it's just clear coat. So if you're a do-it-yourselfer, it's something you could try to make this thing shine. Now let's talk a little bit about the design and quality of the two figures. Of course, the design, big picture, is exactly the same, but the KO made a couple of little tweaks, I think, to try to improve it, though I've personally been having some mixed results. On one hand here, in the design of the chest, they tried to make the panels a little bit easier to manage. These are kind of tricky on MP-44. They designed a little latching, overlapping peg system in there that I think works pretty well. So the front chest panels do seem to at least articulate, let's say, a little bit better, but it doesn't necessarily mean I've got them to look any better in bot mode. It's more about ease of movement of the pieces. Now, another thing we should talk about in design is the knee. The knee. For some reason, I saw MP-44 seem to have a reputation for the knee. I had zero issues ever. It always worked beautifully. And best I can tell, looking at YouTube, it's like one guy had a problem and then everyone just sort of spammed it everywhere. But when you watch most reviews, people aren't complaining about knee problem, but it had a reputation for whatever reason. Now, oddly, I think this KO tried to improve on some of that, but I have been having fits with the knee, and it acts like it's as bad as the reputation of the original. It's been really a struggle. There, it's working okay. An issue I have had is right there, it starts to do it. The grooving and the clicking mechanisms, it'll roll out of the top of the knee. Like it needs to be up there, and sometimes it just flat out comes behind the knee and it's not supposed to be there. And then when you start to try to articulate this thing, it can be a problem. You can, of course, can't feel the force it's having down here. And then when I'm trying to go straight again, it can really start to look odd and gappy in the front. For whatever reason, it's just strange. As much as people complained about MP-44's knee, I have been having fits with the knees on this guy, looking really gappy from the front, sometimes not being able to bend. This one's really tight. It's behaving a little bit better, I will say, right here today. Last night, I pretty much thought I was going to break it, or easily could have broke it if I was going to keep playing with that knee. It does not feel good. It doesn't move as smooth as I just showed you on the original. So maybe it's just my copy. I don't know, but I found it kind of ironic that it's the KO where I was really struggling with the knee myself personally. Another aspect of design here, and maybe it's best represented here, the ratchets are slightly different. I will say on an overall basis, the KO probably went with a little bit heavier of a ratchet all the way around. You notice it most in the arms. It's not really necessary. Like that's a much heavier ratchet. Now here you have the original. It's much lighter. I kind of like how it moves though, personally. But if you really want to hold something with some force, you have a very clickety heavy ratchet here. And really the elbow, you also have a ratchet now. So if you love ratchets, you've got them on the KO. It's a bit stronger than the original. But personally, I never really had much problems with the original. I didn't even notice it until I just started playing with them. It's, again, mainly in the upper body. I think the lower, a little bit more tension there as well, but less significant of a difference. So one other aspect I want to hit up in sort of this design and / quality aspect is the plastic. The KO plastic is like super soft. Across the board, MP-44 had some issues with the ears sort of bending and warping. All the KOs are warped to hell. So it's a little worse than the original. And just everywhere, this plastic is just not as hard as the original MP-44. And that is a problem because MP-44 is so many parts, so many little things that need to peg in and really click hard to get the transformation tight and looking clean. And the KO can't really do it because the plastic is so soft. Here you can just see I've got gaps in my legs because pegs don't click too well. And these are even main pegs here. Around back here, there's like this little thing. This is like a key peg that when you put this in on MP-44, it's like a freaking lockdown. It's like clamp, leg is closed, right? Here, it sort of just barely even sits there, and you don't get the crisp sort of clasp that you really need to hold that leg together. So the soft plastic on this guy, two things. One, it impacts how tight and clean you can have him looking because you need all those small, hard clicks with so many small pieces in this complex engineered figure. You need that, and they give us soft plastic here. And here I just want to show you the other thing with the soft plastic is it's fragile. I actually broke this KO transforming it. I've transformed my original the first time using nothing but the instructions, just worked through it. Everything held up, and I've transformed him many, many times. The KO, despite knowing how to transform the figure and actually watching one of my own reference videos to just make sure I was doing everything okay, I broke this small red piece, which sort of just when you go into cab mode, just sort of fills a little bit. It was like taffy. I mean, I was pushing the blue panel back and had my thumb coming over the red as well. And there was like no resistance being provided because the plastic's so soft. So it pretty much just bent like taffy, creased, and fell off. So super, super soft plastic. You don't really get the feedback from the figure that you would with hard plastic if you're not doing something exactly right. So you got to be way more careful with transforming the KO. So that's the big stuff about the figure. Now I'm going to walk through the accessories and just show them to you because like I've said, Sculpt across the board is like spot on. The main difference is paint. So here you've got the battle damage head sculpt. It looks really good. Spot on. The heads, oh, by the way, they all use a ball peg mechanism across the board. So a bit of a different design choice there as well. Not sure why they did that. Again, dead eyes because nothing is really painted in there. Again, then here we've got the season 1 head, and you can just sort of see the ears there, maybe hopefully just sort of curving all the way up. Really thin, sort of look like stressed a little bit, straight out of the box. Just really tough to get those thin ears. Even the original had some issues with that, but again, I think they're a little worse on the KO because the plastic's just softer. And here we get the Starscream head. I think they did a great job. Looks pretty damn good. Can't wait for that figure. The clip-on battle damaged little ab piece there. Pretty much dead on to the original. The Starscream, shoulder headpiece. Just to get that look up by the neck area and the shoulder area. Again, sculpted perfectly, just not painted. Same with the backpack here. Looks really good, right? Sculpted gray plastic, sculpted red plastic, gray on the inside, sculpting details to the inside. Again, just molded plastic, no paint. Here we have the blaster. Again, everything the same, looks good. I happen to have the original blaster here. What do you notice? No paint, right? So details through here, not painted. And again, it just seems to have something of a darker sheen kind of all the way across it. I will just say, while I have the gun, the whole pegging here in the KO with the gun is bad. It doesn't hold the gun too well. Or as soon as I do that, he was holding it probably about as good as he was there for a second, but loose. It's a combination in the gun and the hand. I don't know. I've tried this gun in the original. It doesn't work well either. I've tried the original gun in the KO. It doesn't work well either. So they're sort of both off, I guess. You don't get the stiff pegging that you do with the original. Here we've got the Energon axe. I mean, it looks pretty good, but if you'd compare it to the original, again, you're missing the paint. The original had some just beautiful accents through it that really brought out the energy effect of the axe, whereas here you just have the molded plastic. And then again, finally here, you get the two blast effects jetpack. Pretty cool. They give a little plus up here. You can push in on the end, and they actually put a little LED in there. So a nice little gimmick plus up. I mean, LEDs for me, whether it's Masterpiece, statues, Hot Toys, they're cool, but at the same time, they're never on when I'm displaying anything. So it's kind of gimmicky thing that's like, oh, that's cool, but then you never use this stuff. But give them credit, they plussed it up a little bit. Really quickly on the backpack, they kept it. Again, everything's designed the same. They even KO'd the voice box mechanism. Mine is broke. I mean, straight away, I've tried multiple sets of batteries in it. For some reason, something must be wired wrong in there because the batteries, nothing works and the batteries become very hot to the touch. So something probably wiring wise is screwed up in there. So unfortunately I can't demo that. I will say what they've done is they put a lot more phrases in there of Peter calling. The audio quality is not as good. It's like they've sort of recorded it over playing the TV show and then tried to clean it up as best they could in some mixing software, but it's not as crisp audio quality. And then I believe they've also got Mandarin versions of the phrases as well. So there's a lot more phrases. But yeah, so they're basically not only knocking off Takara and taking their IP, they're screwing our man Peter Cullen as well. He gets no checks for any of those voice clips. So sorry, Peter. Just another thing on the movement. I've mentioned the struggle I've had with like the knees. Also just how some of the complex articulation and parts are supposed to move doesn't work as well in the KO. For example, these hip skirts have been a thing. It's like, okay, the hip skirt goes up and it stays up. Doesn't come down. That has been a problem with mine. Stays up. The moving parts, the engineering, it's just not executed as well. So here he is in truck mode. I got him okay. It's a difficult transformation. I'm not going to do it on camera. Check my old MP-44 transformation video and you'll see how to do it. I've got videos going both ways. You can see I've got all wheels down. I've got a little bit of under drag I can hear, but happy to see all the wheels are touching. I've just got a little bit of drag under the cab. I think the alt mode here, it suffers less from the lack of crispness of the hard plastic and ability to kind of peg things in, because all those small panels, they're more important for like Optimus legs and stuff. When you go into this mode, a lot of that stuff becomes less critical. You know, some of the pegging up through here still works pretty good, even on the KO. So pretty solid transformation. It's always tough to get 100%, but I'd say he's like 90% tight here. So here Optimus is. We'll take a good look in truck mode, but I'm not going to belabor it because basically everything that needs to be said has been said about the key difference between this figure and the KO. Again, the sculpt and everything is like dead-on likeness. It's got nice chrome. It does have some of the key paint applications that you can see through come in alt mode, and it fits together pretty well. So again, the main difference is just the glossy paint application. So if you're someone that likes to have like a bot mode and alt mode representation, and if you've already got the original like me, I think the KO can play a great role here to pick up a cheaper figure and have an alt mode display that's still going to look pretty dang good. And I'm sure it's just a matter of time now that this KO figure is released before someone just KOs the trailer as well and probably simplifies it so it doesn't have all of the gimmicks and accessories that the original one does, and probably puts like a $50, $75 KO trailer out there. And then you'll probably have everything you want. We'll see, but I'd be willing to make a bet. So there you have it, guys. MP-44 KO. I mean, bottom line, they've made the figure accessible to everyone. So no one anymore has a reason to hate MP-44, despite all the reasons. Bottom line, it was about price. That barrier is gone. No one has a reason to hate it anymore, and everyone will probably love it now that it's 100% accessible for the most part. It's still not cheap, even by knockoff standards, but most people will be able to scrounge it up and get there. If you're in this hobby at all, you can probably swing that. There's always different lenses to the prices. Again, I was Amazon Japan, $330 shipped for this guy, so not too bad, and he came with the trailer and all that more. You know, whatever, like I said, 120 bucks, let's say. So still a couple $100 difference for basically that trailer, related accessories, and, you know, primarily a glossy paint finish. And all the other puts and takes are kind of a wash basically for me. So yeah, if you don't mind or didn't want paint that might chip, for example, and a trailer's not important to you, you know, you're going to be totally happy with this. And frankly, if you don't have this already, you were waiting for this. Because the 3.0 reboot, it's the new wave for Takara. They're going to go back through and redo everything. Personally, once I got this guy, nothing else with the new wave of figures is standing up in comparison. So I went through and gutted my masterpiece collection. I got rid of all kinds of third-party Optimus Primes. I even got rid of all kinds of old masterpieces And I'm really just saying, hey, I'm ready to collect prospectively with what they bring with the new engineering and design. So I'm pretty psyched overall for the new Masterpiece lineup and reboot. And as always, the KOs will be right behind. So again, links down in the description below to my eBay. That's where you're going to want to go to pick up a KO like this. Find the best price, but buy it from a reliable seller with good reviews. Again, link down in the description below. Any shopping you do with those links just supports the channel, no cost to you. So thank you very much for that. I do appreciate it. Thanks for checking out the video share out. I'll see you next time.